Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. And wow, do we have big news today? This is something that's going to impact millions of people across the United States, especially immigrants, visa holders, and families waiting for green cards. Yes, you heard that right. Congress has just approved a historic immigration bill, and it's already being called one of the most significant reforms in decades. Now, before we dive into the details, take a second to make sure you're subscribed because I break down complex immigration updates like this into simple, clear language so you always know what's really happening and how it affects you. All right, let's get right into it. This new bill is being described as a once-in-a-generation immigration reform. Lawmakers are saying it's going to modernize the system, streamline visa processes, and even open new pathways for legal status. And that's not just political talk. There are real, concrete changes inside this legislation that could completely reshape how immigration works in 2025 and beyond. For example, early reports suggest that it includes faster processing for green card applications, expanded options for work visas, and tighter border security measures. It's a blend of opportunity and regulation, aiming to fix long-standing issues that have frustrated immigrants and families for years. Now, I know a lot of you are wondering, how does this affect me? Or when will these changes actually take place? Don't worry, I've got you covered. In this video, we'll break it all down step by step, who qualifies, what the key reforms are when they start, and what you should do right now to prepare. But I also want to say this up front. Not every headline you see online tells the full story. That's why this channel focuses on facts, not rumors. Every update I share comes directly from verified sources and official statements, so you can trust that what you hear here is the real deal. So stick with me till the end, because understanding this new law could literally change your future in the US. And hey, if you find this information helpful, please take a moment to hit that like button. It really helps the channel reach more people who need this info. All right, let's dive into the full breakdown of this historic 2025 immigration reform. All right, so let's get into what's really inside this new immigration reform bill, because trust me, it's more than just headlines. Congress has approved what's being called a historic immigration bill for 2025, and whether you're living here on a visa, waiting on your green card, or part of a family still trying to reunite, this new law could touch your life in some very real ways. Now, I want to make something clear before we go any further. Immigration laws are never simple, right? They're full of policies, dates, exceptions, and so many what-ifs. But that's exactly why we're here. I'm going to break this down like we are just having a conversation over coffee. No legal jargon, no confusion, just straight talk about what's changing and what it could mean for you. So let's start with the big picture. For years, both parties in Congress have talked about fixing the immigration system, but nothing big really happened. There were promises, debates, executive orders, but no lasting solution that both sides could agree on. That's why this bill feels different. For the first time in a long time, we're seeing both Democrats and Republicans come together on something that actually made it through Congress. That alone is historic. Now, what does this bill actually do? Well, first of all, it's designed to speed up the process for people who've been stuck in the system for years. You know how frustrating it can be waiting sometimes for a decade or more for a green card or visa approval. Under this reform, there's a strong push to modernize how applications are processed. We're talking about more digital systems, better staffing, and even the possibility of additional funding to reduce those massive backlogs. It's a big promise, but if they actually deliver, it could be life-changing for thousands of families. Another part of this reform focuses on work visas, something that a lot of immigrants depend on. There's talk of creating new categories for skilled workers, making it easier for professionals in healthcare, technology, and education to get legal status faster. This could be a game changer for industries that rely heavily on immigrant talent and for people who've been waiting years for a chance to work legally and build their future here. Now, on the other side, yes, there are tougher border measures included too. And that's where some of the controversy comes in. The bill increases funding for border technology, enforcement, and staffing. It's meant to balance opportunity with security. Lawmakers say they want to ensure the system is fair for those coming legally, while tightening rules for unlawful crossings. It's a complex balance, but it's the kind of compromise that made this bill possible in the first place. Here's what's really interesting though. There are whispers that this reform could open a new pathway for long-term undocumented immigrants who have been living, working, and paying taxes in the U.S. for many years. It's not a blanket amnesty, but rather a structured program where people can apply for a new form of legal status after meeting certain conditions, like passing background checks, showing proof of residence, and demonstrating consistent employment. It's being described as a dignity path, a way to bring hardworking, law-abiding people out of the shadows and into the system officially. And I'll be honest, that part of the bill is what's giving a lot of families hope right now. Because let's face it, immigration in the US has always been a mix of hope and uncertainty. So many people have built their lives here, contributed to communities, and raised their kids here, but they still wake up every day unsure of what the future holds. If this bill truly delivers on that pathway, it could bring stability and peace of mind to millions who've been living in limbo. Now, I want to pause here for a second, because while we're talking about all these reforms and policies, I don't want this to just sound like politics. At the end of the day, immigration isn't about paperwork. It's about people. It's about families who've waited years to be together. It's about young dreamers who grew up American in every way except on paper. It's about workers who've built this country quietly, behind the scenes, hoping someday the system would finally see them. This bill might just be that recognition, that moment when the system finally catches up with reality. But here's where it gets real. Passing the bill is just the first step. The next phase is implementation. That means agencies like USCIS, ICE, and the Department of Homeland Security will now need to update their policies, train staff, and actually roll out these new programs. That's going to take time, possibly months, maybe even longer. So if you're waiting for a visa or trying to figure out what this means for your status, patience will be key. Now, a lot of you have been asking in the comments, will this bill make it easier to become a U.S. citizen? From what we are seeing so far, it looks like the reform aims to create clearer, faster paths toward permanent residency first, and then eventually, yes, to citizenship. But it won't happen overnight. Think of it as the system opening a few new doors, not tearing down all the walls at once. One thing that really stands out is how much attention this reform gives to families. For years, family-based immigration has been one of the slowest parts of the system, with people waiting decades to reunite. The new changes could finally speed that up. They're talking about updating quotas and using technology to verify documents faster, which could mean less waiting, fewer mistakes, and hopefully fewer heartbreaking separations. And if you've ever had to deal with immigration paperwork, every step forward feels like a victory. I think that's why this bill is being described as historic. It's not perfect, but it's progress. And for millions of families, progress means hope. Now, while all of this sounds promising, let's be honest, we've all seen big promises before. So what makes this one different? Well, one major reason is that there's bipartisan support. It's not just one party pushing it through. That makes it a lot harder to undo with a change in administration. Plus, because Congress officially approved it, that means real funding is being allocated to make it happen. It's not just an executive order that can vanish overnight. And that's what gives this bill a sense of permanence. Real change might finally stick. So if you're watching this and wondering what you can do right now, here's my advice. Stay informed, stay ready, and stay patient. Don't fall for clickbait headlines that make it sound like citizenship is automatic tomorrow. Keep checking official updates from USCIS and credible sources. And if you're eligible, talk to a licensed immigration attorney before making any major decisions. And most importantly, keep believing that change is possible. Because for the first time in a long time, it actually feels like Washington is listening. Now, if you've made it this far in the video, first off, thank you. You're part of a community of people who care about the truth, who want clarity and honesty, not confusion and fear. That's what this channel is all about, making sure you always have the facts, explained in a way that makes sense. If you found this breakdown helpful, please don't forget to tap that like button, not just because it helps the channel, but because it tells YouTube that people actually want real, trustworthy information about immigration. The more engagement a video like this gets, the more people we can reach. Maybe someone who's been waiting years for good news will finally see it thanks to you. And of course, subscribe if you haven't already. I'll be covering every new development, every change in procedure, and every opportunity that comes out of this 2025 reform. Because this isn't just politics, it's people's futures. So stay tuned, stay hopeful, and as always, thank you for being part of this community. All right, let's move on to what comes next, when these changes officially start, and how you can prepare right now.